Hello CraftDee family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So CraftDee. For today's DIY projects, we'll be making some fun home decor pieces created using supplies from the Dollar Tree and inexpensive wood from the home improvement store. Now these feature a mix of stained and painted pieces for a fresh, modern farmhouse look. Now as always, all of the projects I create have a complete supply list in the description box, so you can easily use it for reference as you gather your supplies. Now before we start, I have to say hey to all of my subscribers, and if you're a new visitor to my channel today, I hope you consider subscribing as well and stick around to enjoy these crafts and all the tips and tricks that I share along the way. So now let's just jump right into those projects. Now this project is a set of wood slat display hangers. We're going to need one 1x2, and you can get an 8-foot piece for about $1.79 at the Home Depot. We're also going to need 2 packs of the 1-gallon paint stir sticks for 98 cents from the Home Depot. Now there's a couple of ways you could put your frame together. You can put them together in a 90-degree angle as shown here, and this is all straight cuts. Now if you want to get a little fancy, you can make mitered corners here, and these are made at 45 degrees. You can do these with a miter saw or a miter box, but I will be showing you both ways today. Now for your straight cut frames, you're going to cut 2 pieces of the 1x2, and you're going to cut 2 at 15 inches. And then you're going to cut another 2 pieces of that 1x2 at 6 inches. Now if you choose to do the miter cut frame, you're going to cut 2 long miter cut sections, and you're going to cut these also at 15 inches. And then we're going to cut 2 smaller sections for the miter frame, and these will be 9 inches. Now keep in mind, when you cut mitered corners, the inch measurement is the measurement on the longest side of your miter cut. So now that we got everything cut, we're going to go ahead and stain our wood pieces. So I'm gathering up each one of my frames. Now to stain these, I'm going to be using my Jacobian stain by Minwax. This is one of my favorite stains. And so I'm going to go ahead and start staining the mitered frame. Now to stain this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stain the front of the frame, the top, and the bottom. There's no need to stain the back unless you really want to. And you don't want to stain those raw ends as well. So we're going to stain both of those little short end pieces, and then we're going to stain the longer pieces. We're going to stain these the same way. So now that all of our miter frame pieces are nice and stained, we're going to go ahead and stain our straight frame pieces, and we're going to do these slightly different. But for these shorter pieces, we are going to stain these the same way by just staining the surface and the top and bottom. There's no need to stain the back or either one of those ends. Now we're going to repeat this for the other shorter piece, and here are both of those stained, and now we're going to stain the longer piece. Now on this piece, we are going to stain the top, the sides, and each one of the ends, because the ends will be shown in the final project. And as you can see here, everything is all stained. So what I like to do is go across each one of my stained pieces with a paper towel just to remove any excess stain to help it dry a little quicker. Now while that does dry, we're going to take our paint stir sticks, and I'm going to cut off that curved handle portion on both packs. Now what you're going to be left with, you want a piece that's 8.5 inches for the piece that does not have the handle. Now we're going to be painting these, so go ahead and remove those from the packaging, and I'm choosing to paint these with my white chalk paint, but you could use white acrylic paint or even spray paint. Now you notice on your sticks, one side will have measurements and the other side will be blank. I'm just going to go ahead and start painting that blank side. Now all I'm going to do is to apply one nice coat of that chalk paint, making sure you get the top and bottom ridges, and make sure you could get almost to the edges. Now we're going to repeat this until all of the sticks are done, and here they are all painted, and just allow them to completely dry. So once the sticks are nice and dry, we are going to add some distressing. So go ahead and gather them all up, and we are going to add distressing along the top and the bottom edges. Now to do this, I'm going to be using some black acrylic paint. Now we're also going to grab a craft stick because this is what I love to use for my technique. So I just cut one edge of that craft stick off to make it flat. I'm going to dip it in that black acrylic paint, and all I'm going to do is just drag it along the edge, and I think that this gives it the perfect amount of distressing, not too much and not too little. You could put as much as you like. So we're just going to repeat this process along the top and bottom edges of all 20 of those paint sticks. Now here is everything all nice and distressed, and you want to allow those to dry. So now that our frames are nice and dry, we can start assembling them, and we're going to start with our straight cut frame. So just put the long pieces on the top of the bottom, and we're going to sandwich in those shorter pieces as shown here. Now you could use wood hot glue, or you can use regular wood glue. It's all up to you, but I'm using wood hot glue since I will be following up with screws. So I'm just adding some wood glue to the end of that shorter pieces and bonding it to the inside edge of that longer piece. And then adding another strip of that wood hot glue at the bottom of those pieces, and then connecting that closing portion at the bottom. And here is our nice frame all put together and assembled. So now we're going to gather the pieces for our miter corner, and we're going to do this the same way. Our top and bottom pieces are the longest pieces, and then we're just going to place those mitered cornered edges on each end. Again, I am using my wood hot glue to join these together. You could use wood glue if you like. We're just going to join each side together and then add that last bottom piece in to close the frame in. And now we have a completed mitered cornered frame. Now the measurements I provided made sure that both frames are the exact same size, as you can see here. So no matter which one you choose, they will be the same size in the end. So now what we want to do is to secure our corners with screws. So I'm going to choose a screw that will work, and I'm choosing a number 6 2-inch wood screw for this project. Now I'm going to start by drilling some pilot holes into each corner to apply my screws. Now of course, if you have a pocket hole tool or a brad nailer, you could definitely use that as well. So I did use a 3/32 inch drill bit for this, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply my screws into each one of those pilot holes. Now you notice that the screws are a different color, and you could just touch those up with matching paint at the end if you desire. Now we're going to repeat this for our miter corner frame the same way, and now both frames are nice and secured with the screws. So now we're going to flip them over, and we're going to add hangers to the back. Now my favorite style hangers to use are these D-ring style hangers. I love these hangers, and they can hold a significant amount of weight, and they do come with their own screws. I'll link them in the description box. So I'm going to add one to each top corner of each one of the frames, and I'm going to place it near the top edge as shown here, and we're going to attach them with screws. Now to keep that hanger from moving while we try to apply it, I'm just going to put the tiniest bit of hot glue on the back of the frame to place that hanger piece in place, just to hold it there while we apply our screws. Now you don't need to drill pilot holes for this. These screws are fairly small. You just apply a gentle amount of pressure and it'll screw right in. As you see here, here is the hook nice and applied. Just repeat it for the other side. And now both hangers are set and ready to go. And now just add your hangers on the other frame. Now they will go up in the corner the same way. We just want to make sure it's not on that seam there, and we want to make sure that they're just evenly spaced apart. And here they are applied to our mitered frame. So now our frames are ready with our hanger hardware. Okay, so grab one of the frames, and now all of our paint sticks are nice and dry with our white color and distressing. Just go ahead and separate half of them, which is 10, and we're going to start applying them to the back of our frame. So I'm putting them with the paint side facing down, and I'm going to lay 10 across the opening on the back of the frame, and just go ahead and arrange them where they're evenly spaced apart. So now that we determined all of the spacing, we can now secure them into place. Now what I decided to do is to use my hot glue. I'm just going to run a bead along each side and then press it firmly into place, just making sure you maintain that evenness. Now you can lay your frame out on a grid mat if that will help, but I'm just kind of eyeballing the design here. Now you want to complete gluing each side down all the way down until all 10 of the sticks are secured. And here they are, all nice and secure. And if you flip it over, you will see on the front that they look nice and even. Now for a little bit of added security, I am following up with my staple gun. I'm just going to add a staple at the bottom of each one of those paint sticks and also along the top as shown here. And this just makes sure that those paint sticks will not budge and they will remain secure in place. Now you're going to repeat this for your other frame until both of them are nice and complete as shown here, and now you have a nice set. So now what we're going to do is put our hanger at the very top, and I'm using these little metal hooks here. You could get these from Walmart in a variety of colors and styles, and they're not too expensive for a large pack, but they come in handy for a lot of projects. Now before I apply my hook, I'm going to find the center at the top of my frame, and I'm going to mark it with my pencil, and then I'm going to take just a really small drill bit, smaller than the screw on the end of your hook, and just go in about halfway to that wood in the top. And then you can see I have just the smallest little hole there, and this will just help drill it in without splitting your wood. So you just go ahead and screw that into that hole until it's all the way flush. And here's our little hook in place. It's ready to go, and you'll be able to hang anything that you want on that hook. And now just repeat this process for the second frame, and here's the pair with both hooks in place. Okay, so we're just going to set those frames to the side, and what I decided to hang on mine are these mason jars. I just grabbed these and I put some matte spray paint on them that is black, but you can hang any kind of jar or vase that you like. Now if you want these jars, they do have them here at the Dollar Tree, and you'll be able to use those for this project. Now I'm going to grab a couple pieces of ribbon, and this ribbon I did get from Amazon, and I'll link it in the description box below. But what I'm going to do is hook that ribbon around the hook. I'm laying my jar on my frame, and I'm kind of measuring how far I want my jar to be. Now once that ribbon falls on the side of the jar, just hold it in place, and I'm just going to use just the tiniest dot of hot glue just to hold that ribbon in place until I finish securing it. That way it doesn't slip out of that measurement I just made. And then I'm going to trim off all of that excess that goes below the rings of the mason jar. Now to secure it in place, all I'm going to do is put the screw lid right back on top of that ribbon, and that is nice and secure in place. You do not need to add anything else. When you screw the lid on, it does secure the ribbon and it hangs right in place. Now all you have to do is add your greenery of choice, and then you can hang these once you do your second one, and that is it for this really fun and easy project. And here is the set on display. Now I think that these make such a gorgeous pair of wood displays. Now I love all the detail in this piece, and the inexpensive wood really takes the stain and the paint very well. I really love the simplicity of the mason jars, but you can get super creative with decorative vases. You can use lanterns, small crates, or even wording or signs. And the subtle distressing of the wood make the slats really pop, and they look so great against that wood stain. You all have to let me know what you think about this project in the comments below. This project is a rustic tray with wood handles. We're going to need one of these trays from the Dollar Tree. And we're also going to need some tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. Now the first thing we're going to do, go ahead and grab your tray. I want to clean it really well with some rubbing alcohol, and go ahead and remove any stickers and residue from the back of the tray as well. Now once it's all clean, I'm going to take it out and give it a couple of coats of white satin spray paint on the top and the bottom. Now while that's drying, grab all of your tumbling tower blocks, and I'm going to stain these with my Jacobian stain by Minwax. Now since I wanted these to dry fairly quickly, I'm not going to stain the entire block. I'm only going to stain the top and the sides, and then 2/3 of one of the sides where I'm going to be applying the glue. Now if you're staining these ahead of time, you can stain the entire block, but I'm going to be staining these in a method where I can glue them fairly quickly and they only have to dry for about an hour. So what I did is I stained 4 blocks with an exposed area at the top, and then the other blocks that I stained have the bottom side unstained. So once they dry in about an hour, I can start assembling my handles. So what I'm going to take is I'm going to need 6 blocks, 3 in a row, and then I'm going to take the 2 blocks that are stained 2/3 of the way. Now I'm going to grab my carpenter square to make sure everything will be nice and even, and you want to make sure you use wood glue to bond this together. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to bond the 3 pieces of the tumbling tower blocks that are 3 in a row, and I'm going to do 2 sets of those side by side. Now once they sit for a couple of minutes or two, what I'm going to do is add glue on top of one of the set, and then I'm going to sit the other set right on top, making sure the unstained sides are connecting together as shown here, so you'll have a double stack of 3. So now we're going to add the 2 pieces to the ends as shown here, so add glue to the unstained side of that one, and I'm going to place one at each end, and what this will do is form a handle that we will use for our tray. Now I'm going to repeat this for the remaining blocks. And now you have your 2 handles, and you want to let them sit a few hours or overnight if you can. So now that our tray is nice and dry and our handles are nice and dry, we can start putting them together. And as you can see, the handles will fit on each side of the tray as shown here. So what you want to do is, first of all, I want to go ahead and take some acrylic paint, black acrylic paint, and what I'm doing is putting a dot of that acrylic paint at the bottom of each one of my handles. Now what this will do is we're going to sit this on the end of the tray, and what'll happen is that acrylic paint will transfer to the tray, and it will mark where our handles will be needed to be secured in place. And as you can see, it transferred over to the tray, and this is where we will be drilling our holes for our handle. So we're just going to go ahead and drill the holes in the handle first where those marks are. So go ahead and drill in. We're only going to drill in maybe a 1/2 inch at the most into each one of those handles. And once your handles are drilled, we are going to go over to our tray, and we're going to drill a hole through the markings where we transferred our dots to. Now you just want to be careful and just go very slowly. This tray will cut easily and without a problem. And those, as you can see here are the holes where we will mount our handle. And you want to repeat this for the other handle and the other side of the tray. So now we need to secure our handles to our tray. So the screws I decided to use are these short 1/2 inch screws that I had, and this will be the perfect size to secure our handles. So you want to flip your tray over, and you want to insert the screw from the bottom, and you want to do this by hand to avoid damaging your tray. So you just want to screw it in until the screw pokes out of the other side. And then once you set your handle on there, you'll notice the hole in the handle will line up with the screw, so it's going to be easy to secure. Now don't over tighten this, you want it just hand tight, but as you can see, here is one of the handles, and just repeat it for the other side. And now you have your 2 handles secured to your tray. Now I wanted to add some of that distressing, so again, I'm going to grab some of that black acrylic paint. I'm going to go ahead and grab a craft stick and dip it in that paint, and I am just going to drag it along the edge of the tray. I'm going all along the outside just lightly. You can add as much or as little as you like. You just do as much as makes your heart happy. And then I'm going to dip the flat edge of my stick, and then I'm going along the inside crease. So I'm going along all around that square, and then I'm going around these side creases as well. And that is it. That is all you have to do to distress this tray. All you want to do is sit this to the side. But right now, what we're going to do is we are going to make something to decorate our tray first. Now what we're going to make are some moss covered balls to go onto our tray. I'm using a couple of these plastic baseballs from the Dollar Tree, and I'm also going to be using some of this green floral moss and some of this Spanish moss. So I like to use these large bowls from Dollar Tree to do all my moss work in because it definitely cuts back on the mess. So I'm just throwing the balls inside of the large mixing bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and start pulling out my moss. Now the moss is really tangled up, so it may be easier just to cut portions of the moss out, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just cutting out a couple of big bunches to cover up one of my balls. Now once you get enough in there, just go ahead and grab your hot glue and just start adding the hot glue in sections and pressing that moss into that hot glue really well. You're just going to keep applying sections all the way around the ball, making sure you get thick applications of that moss all the way around. Now once you get it applied all the way around, just crush it down in place, and now it's time to give it a little haircut to make sure everything is nice and even. And as you can see, here is the finished covered baseball that's got the moss on it, and it turned out perfect. Now don't throw away all those shavings. Now that they're all in your bowl, just toss them right back in the bag for another project. So now we're going to start to use the green moss. Now this is a lot looser, so you could just kind of pinch some in there. Again, we're going to use that same method. We're going to add that hot glue in sections and just start pressing that green moss all over your baseball. Just applying that glue all over in random spots, making sure it's fully covered. Now once you crush everything in place, you could just make sure everything is even, loose, and remove any loose moss and just do a nice little haircut, and now you have a nice green covered moss to go with your collection. So here is what it looks like, and then we can pair it up with our Spanish moss one, and you can make as many as you like, and I just wanted to show two for this project today to show you how they're made. So here you have it. I have added these moss balls to our tray with a few battery candles and decor. Now I think that the tray really comes in handy for so many uses, and this is just one idea for your space. Now this would work to display items on your vanity or bath, or even a decor for a kitchen shelf. Now, even though the mossy ball decor can be displayed on the tray, you can use them in many other places too. The possibilities are really endless with this type of decor. Let me know in the comments, where would you choose to display on this tray in your home? Now, this project is a set of stemless glass plant displays. Now, we're going to need 2 stemless wine glasses from the Dollar Tree. Now we're going to take these wine glasses, clean them up, and then give them a couple coats of this satin white spray paint by Krylon. Now once they dry, here are your stemless glasses, and what we're going to do is we're just going to add that same coordinating ribbon around the glass. Now once you cut a piece that wraps around it with a little overlap, what we're going to do is burn one of the edges of the ribbon. We do want to make sure it doesn't fray, so go ahead and burn one edge to make sure it's nice and secure. And then we just want to tightly wrap the ribbon around your stemless wine glass or slash vase. And then we're going to hot glue it in place once it's nice and centered in the middle of your little container. And here is one all covered, nice and neat. And then just repeat this for your second little vase. And here are both all nice and covered, ready to go. So I wanted to add that final distressing to the top of these jars. I just love this technique. I think it just gives it a little bit more character. So I'm going to add it to the top of these little jars, and I'm going to do, after the first one, just do the second one and allow them to completely dry. And here is what they will look like. I just love how this looks. So now that they're ready to go, all you have to do is decorate. I have some jute twine with 8 little beads tied on each end that I'm going to decorate with. You can make these. And then I'm going to add some little 97-cent boxwood from Walmart and put this all together. And here it is, you guys. This is a super simple but stylish arrangement that anyone can make. Now you can add your own choice of greenery to make it your own style, or even just use the glasses for makeup brushes or other types of decor. Now you guys, I had so much fun creating these projects today, and I hope that they have inspired you. But as always, I do love them all, but let me know in the comments which one of these projects today was your favorite. Listen, if you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So CraftDee on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. If you like videos like these, you don't want to miss the next one, make sure you're subscribed by clicking that subscribe button below, or just click on my She's So Crafty logo on your screen and make sure you hit that bell to be notified when the next DIY goes live. It's absolutely free. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.